You have one of the greatest ranger training hallucination stories I've ever heard. So this
Yeah.
is pre-combat.
Yeah, man.
I think that'd be a cool place to start.
Yeah, let's do it.
Dude, that was 2007 Ranger School. Dude, I forget the class number or whatever. It was something '07. But went there and Derby phase, like the first phase in Ranger School, I failed that. I got recycled
Oh, no.
like right at the end. I got recycled and I was in that little holding,
Yeah, yeah.
portion of it for like a week or two. And dude, I debated quitting for like pretty much the entire time. And I did, dude, it was getting into the cold season. I was not for it. I was fresh off deployment and dude, I debated it, but then like I was like, dude, if I quit this, there's no way I'm gonna be able to stay in Ranger
Yeah.
Battalion. I'm gonna get shipped off to like, Korea or some Italy or who knows where, right? So I stuck with it, and I was about to get married too. I had proposed to my dude. I want to say I proposed to her. No, I did not. I did, dude. My timing is all jacked up. I proposed to in '07. 1 second, just but I proposed to her in '06. My bad. Went to Ranger School '07, and I called her on the phone. Me and 3 or 4 Rangers snuck out, and we hopped the fence, went back to
No
our
shit. Yeah,
personal
yeah.
cars where I had my cell phone at, and some guys use pay phones. We were all like lookouts for our guys and stuff, and called my wife, fiance at the time, and dude, I was just stoked about getting back and getting married, and I wanted to BAH and move off of out of the
That's good
barracks.
money. For those that don't know, that's
You're,
extra. That's a housing allowance that we get, and it's if you're in E4 or below, that's like
yeah,
that doubles your pay. So
it
it's a lot of
oh
money.
yeah. So dude, I couldn't wait, and yeah, it was that little holding pattern in Darby. After the fact, I decided to stick with it, and I got recycled to Charlie Company. I was in Alpha Company at first, and they were like, Alpha Company was the hard company, and I went to Charlie Company, and supposedly that was not easier. It just wasn't like so many dicks, I guess. But dude, they were dicks all the way around,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I don't know what what class, but yeah, there was there was no shortage of complete pricks and
Yeah,
douchebags and dicks around at
de-
Ranger School, man.
depending on who you had, bro, it was a pass or fail. You could fail easily.
Yeah.
Um, so I went through Derby phase. I finished that, barely made it through land nav. Dude, I was smoked. This is like my second attempt going through Derby, and Derby's pretty tough, like when you're coming off of the deployment, you're eating ranger food in the chow hall, and you're eating pretty good. And when you start losing that initial 5-10 pounds, life starts to suck and you're not sleeping. And dude, I went to land nav, and I was like jacking up my points, man. I couldn't find anything, but I did find a road. And dude,
That
I was
backstop, man.
on
You
this.
you learn that backstop, man. Where's my backstop?
Yeah,
I got to get
dude.
reoriented. I'm all jacked,
Yeah.
and that tell. I mean, I always get it, but tell that's scary when you're not finding your points on land nav. That's like a panic that sets in because you
Oh,
know that oh shit, I'm gonna fail again, and you have to
yep,
fight that panic. That is like oh
yep,
my god,
dude.
it sucks, man.
And
It's terrible.
everything relies on that. And like dude, I'm freaking out. You have night land nav too, and you hear the wild hogs out there, and you're walking into, dude. I'm like from not around the country at all, and hearing like wild hogs in my mind is like demons, bro. And walking into uh the big banana spiders, they were like the size of your whole fist.
Oh
And
man.
dude, I'm a cat when it comes to bugs, man. To this day, I don't really like bugs, man. Um, but yeah, I ran the road for a little bit, got caught. I smoked the instructor who was on my ass. He jumped out in a ghillie suit
Oh,
and
so you
spotted
you
me.
you didn't get caught. You just took off. You're
Oh,
one
dude,
of
I,
those
I
guys.
took off, but he knew I was like it was like one of 4 black rangers, in Ranger School at the time. And
Yeah.
I wasn't hard to find. So we get back, and I hand him my points, and he's looking at the points. I had all my points, and he looks at me. He's like, you know what? I should fail you, but because I outran him. And he called me a Rocket Ishmael from like the Dallas Cowboy era. And he passed me for that. He's like, only because you outran me, and that's the fastest I've ever seen any Ranger run. So he passed me for it. Dude, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. If you get caught, you're not trying hard enough.
Dude, everybody at Ranger School has either ran a road. For those that don't know, you're not allowed to run roads because that's easy. You got to break brush,
Yeah.
got to break. But every Florida phase, dude, I had one of the old Ranger guys that he didn't get his tab and he got RFS. He got but he became the supply sergeant there at Eglin at Florida phase. And I knew him and I'm like, dude, can you sneak me some Hua bars? And every night he'd come in. So everybody's done something at Ranger School to help get them through. Yeah, everyone.
That's that's my cheat story. But the hallucination story, this was in, I believe, the mountain phase. And mountain phase pretty that sucks all the way around.
Physically, that's probably physically the hardest at all.
Oh yeah, by far. I'm exhausted. We're in some place up in I don't know. We were at some place in the mountains at our I don't know if we were setting up an ambush or we were getting ready to rack out or something. I totally forget this part, but I was laying in front of a bush and I remember dozing off and looking up, trying to, check my surroundings. And I'm fighting the sleep, and that bush in front of me turns into George Foreman. And I'm like, oh, there's no way. George Foreman is at Ranger School right now. And he's kneeling down in front of me, and he pops open a George Foreman grill, and he's showing me all the stuff you can make on a George Foreman. And he slapped like a steak on it, some eggs on it. And I'm like, dude,
were you smelling it? Were you smelling it?
Everything. It was a legit 3 a.m. like infomercial of George Foreman, but in real life. And I'm looking at him and he fades away back to the bush. But ever since then, it was like, dude, no joke, when I got back, I bought a George Foreman grill and I made like a few steaks on it. But it was like one of the best sales pitches that George Foreman has ever probably given. And he wasn't even there or wasn't even paid to do it, man.
Oh my gosh, that is the funniest. And I've heard a lot of freaking stories. I wish I had one that funny. The weirdest thing I saw was Wizard of Oz, those little flying monkeys in the trees and
really,
Florida
you
phase.
saw the monkeys in the trees. I saw like little elves. The leaves look like elves.
They do. That's they look like those little Wizard of Oz flying monkeys. Wow. I saw them, but I could see them as elves too.
They look like little elves.
Yeah, man. There's Ranger School suck. It does suck. I went through in the winter time. Went through in 2000. And
wow.
The winter, I'm old as fuck, dude. You can give me
no, I'm not wild like that. I was gonna say, but did they still have I'm pretty sure they got rid of it. Not Florida. The desert phase.
They had gotten rid of it. Yeah, they had gotten rid of it. So it was still just they extended Florida, and you'd gone through it that time too. So they had already done it, but they got rid of desert phase, but they extended banning phase a week. And they put 3 extra days on Florida phase. So I'm not saying that it was I don't know. I didn't go through desert. The desert guys, you know how it is. It's always harder back in the day. It's always harder. It's always harder. But I'm not gonna say that. All I can say is that even when we went through in the wintertime there, it still was miserable. But there's so many funny stories like that. Or just the droning stories where you see a guy zombie walking and I droned or my ranger buddy fell asleep in a bush and I forgot to grab him and wake him up. So I left him behind and we had to stop and go find him because he's curled. But it is, man. It brings back great memories, but it sucked at the time. But you're like, but now I'm laughing hysterically about George Foreman and the bush that I will never forget. I will never forget that story.